what is up, fam? Hopefully your guys' weekend is a good one because mine was a pretty decent one. But man, I'm telling you right now, I have seen some gameplay of Baldur's Gate, and holy cow, that stuff has got me interested in that. Now, a lot of you may be asking right now, Gar, wait a minute, why don't you have gameplay of the game right now? Well, I'm going to wait till the game either comes to Xbox or I just get sick and tired of waiting and buy it on PC. But the majority of the reason why I'm waiting is because I want to play the game with my friends. Because, I mean, honestly, it's a D&D game, and I really do like playing D&D games with my friends. But today, we're going to be talking about a Nintendo fanboy that thinks that Baldur's Gate 3 has zero chance of winning Game of the Year because Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just the absolute winner of winning the Game of the Year. So right before we start this video, please don't forget to like, comment in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. Helps my channel grow, and hey, I really want this channel to grow, so if you like my content, please do all that sellout stuff. And no, before we do get into this, please make sure you have yourself a snack and a drink, and let's just go ahead and dive right into it.
And Noma's gonna make it happen. Wild the fence with a single game.
Just stop breathing.
Every single time I do a video on Harman Smith, somehow, some way, his intros to his videos just get worse and worse and worse. Every single time.
What a complete joke. What should have been like kind of a glorious moment for Nintendo. You know, the release of Tears of the Kingdom, the objective Game of the Year 2023 has been straight up damage controlled to high heaven all year long since May. Like pre-release, we had to like do this thing where like, oh, Tears of the Kingdom, that's not gonna sell well. That's gonna be a rehash. They had to delay it because they were scared of Elden Ring.
Harman, I don't know what number it is at this fucking point where I've caught you saying words that you have zero idea behind the meaning of it. And right there in that clip really just proved my point yet again. That is not the definition of damage control. Or what I really should say is that the way that you're using damage control is not the correct way. Because technically, damage control with its meaning is measures to take to offset or minimize damage to reputation, credibility, or public image caused by a controversial act, remark, or revelation. And unlike you, Harman, I've actually done some research and I looked at news articles and all that type of thing. There is no damage control that went on. I see zero statements from Nintendo, zero statements from the fucking developers, except for the reason why they delayed it because they were, well, you know, they wanted to make a good game. They wanted to fix the bugs. I'm pretty sure the only people that really don't matter in this conversation that was doing damage control was pretty much you on Reddit or freaking 4chan. Either one.
However, over the past couple of months, the games that have come out since then, games like Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, what else has come out? Like, there have been like a handful of releases that have come out and have just been like completely stomped by Tears of the Kingdom, right? 18.5 million units sold, right? In like less than 2 months. It has been phenomenally successful. It's well on its way to outselling Elden Ring, and it will go on, I think, to be a fan favorite for a lot of people. I personally see it as like probably one of my favorite Zelda games ever.
Okay, Harman, just because Zelda Tears of the Kingdom sold really, really good, and I'm very happy that it did sell pretty well, just because the fact it did sell very well does not mean it's a good game. Hell, just because Call of Duty sells very well every single fucking year does not make it a good game. And just to let everybody know, the reason why he even bothers bringing up Diablo 4 and Street Fighter 6 is because he's big mad about the pure fact that they're not on the Nintendo Switch. See my past videos on him, you'll see exactly what I mean.
But right now, we're in this kind of situation where there are a handful of people coming out trying to say that it has competition. Now, there are a lot of examples of this. Like, I've seen people like throw out Hogwarts Legacy as an example of it. I believe it's the only AAA game that's outsold Zelda so far this year, but only because of the license. I've seen people throw out Diablo 4. I've seen people throw out like Starfield, which is laughable to me. Starfield isn't going to do shit. Alan Wake 2 is coming out. Like, there are all these games that are like that people are just trying desperately to pretend can contend for Game of the Year, and it's really not even close, and everyone knows it's not even close.
Can we please get an example, Harman? Are you going to tell us why, or are you just going to sit there and say, yeah, because that's Zelda?
Yeah, because you ain't gonna beat a game from Nintendo, my holy lord, Nintendo. You're not gonna beat it.
But honestly, I'm not really surprised. Half of the games that he even talks about, he doesn't even play them. He has zero interest. The only reason why he talks about them, because he's going with the algorithm. He's feeding the algorithm, saying, this game, insert game that's really popular right now, is not as good as Nintendo games. It's this little grift. But actually, it's not even a grift. It's what he truly believes in. And these games that he's talking about right now, saying that they don't have a chance to be Game of the Year, haven't even came out. Starfield, Alan Wake, they haven't even came out yet for people to play. How the hell do you know, Harman, they're not going to be Game of the Year contenders? Oh, because they're not owned by Nintendo. And what makes me really laugh in this whole situation is that he keeps saying Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to be Game of the Year, but he doesn't give examples like the gameplay, the fucking flow of the story, how the story goes, those type examples. He gives zero examples.
But as it so happens, like a lot of people are just obsessed over the idea of like not allowing Nintendo to win Game of the Year, right? We saw this with 2020 with New Horizons, where Animal Crossing New Horizons, where like nobody was seriously pushing for that game to win Game of the Year, even though it totally should have.
Not happy about that? Get over it.
Oh, boo-hoo! Nintendo didn't win Game of the Year. Oh, no, they didn't. My favorite gaming company didn't win Game of the Year. Just some other platform that I really hate and have no fucking interest in won the Game of the Year. Win! Harman, do you think these companies really care if they get Game of the Year? They only use it these days for the Game of the Year to have the re-release of the game say Game of the Year. This game won Game of the Year. Why don't you go ahead and buy this version of the game because it's Game of the Year. That's the only reason why they care for the Game of the Year, okay? Because they want to slap it on there and resell it to you.
The Game Awards is an unreliable source of information, right? Like, we shouldn't take anything they say seriously. We shouldn't take anything they do seriously. So going into this, talking about the Game Awards, talking about, like, what's going to win Game of the Year, like, I think we really need to put a fine line in the sand. Like, yeah, like, Tears of the Kingdom should win Game of the Year, and it is Game of the Year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it's going to win any awards, right? Like, there are all these great games that are going to get passed over, like always, on Nintendo consoles, and, like, we're just going to have to, like, just make fun of the show, as we always do.
Then what's the point of this video then, Harman? If you're just going to sit there, well, they're just an unreliable source, and we shouldn't even bother fucking taking them seriously. We just make fun and laugh at them. It doesn't make any sense that you spent your time and energy on this video just to say all that, because we already know that sometimes the journalists out that are on the fucking line that go to the fucking Game Awards are a fucking joke.
Nintendo fans have to deal with the fact that PC gamers are trying to pretend that Baldur's Gate 3 has any hope ever about selling Tears of the Kingdom. And it's really interesting seeing their playbook on this, because they're citing the Metacritic scores, they're citing like audience sale, they're citing sales numbers, they're citing like how many users it has on Steam. Like they're doing they're talking about how developers are all getting like extremely like agitated that like, oh no, we can't make a game this good. It's raising people's standards too high.
Finally, it took you more than half of this fucking video that you made to finally get to the fucking point. I had to cut out so much of this fucking video just to get to this certain point to where he could finally make his damn point in this situation. Absolutely infuriating. And now I'm understanding fully now why you made this video, because you're pretty upset that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom didn't have the same effect that Baldur's Gate 3 had. And how do you know for a fact that Baldur's Gate is not going to outsell Tears of the Kingdom? You do realize it's going to be a multi-plat game, right? So the potential there for Baldur's Gate 3 to outsell Zelda the Tears of the Kingdom is still there. I mean, hell, maybe it won't outsell it. Who fucking knows? But this little argument of this game is better than that game because it outsold it, like, get the fuck out of here. And if we're looking at Metacritic right now too, Harman, Baldur's Gate 3 versus Tears of the Kingdom, it looks like the audience and the reviewers are a lot more happier with Baldur's Gate 3.
Like, they're talking about all this stuff, and like, it really makes you think. It really makes you think back to, like, Tears of the Kingdom, where, like the same thing happened, but it was legitimate, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3 has all the markings of like the typical Last of Us Part 2 style like media blitz campaign. You know, the Cyberpunk 2077 like media blitz campaign where a bunch of people come out and try to say this game is game of the year. It's one of the best games ever made, period. And if you disagree, you're just a hater. You hate it because it's so popular.
Or, hear me out, Harman, and I know this one's kind of difficult to hear. Maybe it was organic, just like with Tears of the Kingdom. Because when Baldur's Gate released to the public, I'm like, okay, it's another D&D game. They're probably going to fucking throw a shitload of microtransactions, DLC in it. No, this game is so organic. There is no fucking microtransactions, barely any bugs at all. This game is so fucking good. It is fucking hilarious. There is a cutscene within this game, or I should say a little action you could do, where a squirrel comes up to you and starts fucking with you. And well, I can't really play the clip because it's a little gory and I might get demonetized. Yeah, I just posted this video to YouTube. Yeah, they demonetized it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take it out. Sorry, guys.
Right? Like if The Last of Us Part 2 had not been leaked ahead of time and we knew about what Naughty Dog was trying to pull, and like Baldur's Gate 3 is an interesting case where it's the same exact thing, right? You know, an extremely degenerate, like left-wing, like SJW product, you know, an extremely woke product that is being pushed by game journalists.
You are made of stupid.
This game has zero push politics of SJW and all that type of shit. Yeah, there's a couple psychos in the game that are very questionable, but this game does not force politics down your fucking throat. And if there ever was an NPC in the game that started to shove their politics down my throat, oh, if you know me very well, you know exactly what I'll do to that NPC.
Right? Like this is like the equivalent of Gone Home, you know, No Man's Sky, like No Man's Sky is a good example. Stuff like Braid, you know, stuff like, you know, Binding of Isaac, like, you know, absolute trash that's propped up by the industry for arbitrary reasons. Psychonauts 2, I think, is a really good example of a game that was like very heavily promoted, very well received by critics, but was just complete trash, like objectively. Baldur's Gate 3 is The Last of Us Part 2.
Can you show me proof, Harman? Can you recite your sources? Can you even prove that it's like the same to like The Last of Us 2, except it's popular right now and it's over eclipsing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom right now? Can you prove it? Or is it just the fact that you're up in your fifis right now, that Nintendo's not in the spotlight right now, but this fantastic studio that brought us a fantastic game is getting all the attention, but now you're just like, no, focus on Nintendo. Don't give attention to that game. They don't deserve it.
And like they're just getting like kind of confused by it. Like normal audiences are looking at this thing and they're just like, okay, it's D&D. You have a lot of dialogue options. You can bang everyone in the game. You know, you can have a BBC if you want, but like that's been in games already. There's nothing special about it, right? There's nothing like particularly unique, innovative, or fresh about this game. And like when you compare it to Tears of the Kingdom, which is, you know, like a true AAA experience with like, you know, great new mechanics, you know, crazy creativity, you know, like over 70 hours of content, like for the main story alone. Like Tears of the Kingdom just objectively stomps it.
Let me ask you this real quickly, Harman, since you refuse to give any examples of how Tears of the Kingdom is better than Baldur's Gate 3. Can you go off the beaten path and be an evil person within Tears of the Kingdom? No. Can you have relationships within Tears of the Kingdom? Far as I know, no. And here's another question that comes to mind. If there's one NPC within Tears of the Kingdom that is really absolutely annoying, can I endgame them? No. Also, I haven't seen a game like this since the Mass Effect series. Oh my god, like when I saw all the options and the things you could do within this game, trust me right now, I am buying this fucking game and doing a full playthrough with my friends because this game is fucking crazy.
I saw the same exact story come up with Tears of the Kingdom, but in that case, it actually made sense because Tears of the Kingdom legitimately does things that like other AAA developers will never do, right? Like it'll actually make a fresh new experience with this video game though. Like no one else could have done what Nintendo did with Tears of the Kingdom, basically, right? But like when you look at like Baldur's Gate 3, there's nothing special about it. Like whenever you ask people to elaborate what makes the game great, they give you some vague like assertion that like they'll try to tell you that like, you can fuck a bear, or like you can do this. Like it's so obviously fake, right? Very, very fake, right? Just like it is just absurd how we have to keep going through this, like these motions every year, where like for a brief period of time, like the new hot game is like something that everyone's talking about, everyone's worshiping, and the thing that everyone's pretending is better than what Nintendo is doing.
I want to see Baldur's Gate 3 absolutely eclipse Tears of the Kingdom now. I want to see Harman spurg so freaking hard when the award is presented to him, he's live on his thing, losing his absolute freaking mind. Him just alone coping in this video and taking forever to get to his points and repeating his points over and over again, so he just stretched the video out for absolutely no reason. And Harman, you by yourself just being vague about saying, oh, well, Tears of the Kingdom does this a lot better than Baldur's Gate 3. You haven't said anything throughout this whole fucking video of what exactly Tears of the Kingdom does a lot better than Baldur's Gate 3. I swear to God, if you say it one more time, Tears of the Kingdom is better than Baldur's Gate 3 because I don't know. I don't have a fucking reason. I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
Right? Like, we go through this all the time. We had to go through this last year with Elden Ring, and it seems like history is repeating itself with Baldur's Gate 3. But unlike Elden Ring, which I think I was able to at least trick people into buying it because, oh, look, it's an open world game, like Skyrim.
Yes, he's still salty about Elden Ring. Ooh. Technically Elden Ring, Harman, is an open world game because technically you have the freedom of doing every single objective in order that the way you want. And not to mention, there is a lot of space that you could do a lot of things. You could go to different areas and do different things if you want to. Trust me, it's open world, but you refuse to accept it.
Like, the industry is trying to push like these kind of woke products onto gamers, right? And this is just an example of it. This is just the industry like doing everything they possibly can to like try and sell you on a mediocre D&D game.
Harman, throughout this whole video, you refuse to show us any fucking examples of how this game is not innovative, or for a biggest example that you really pushed throughout this whole video of how this is woke. Can you please show any examples at all? Or are you just going to sit there and just, I want Nintendo in the spotlight, not this small indie dev that is busting their ass and actually making good products.
And that's what it comes down to, is that like this genre, it doesn't seem like it's evolved at all. It doesn't seem like it's doing anything new, fresh, or exciting. And when you look at this game, when so many people are saying the same thing you are, that like this seems fake, it doesn't seem all that appealing, like, I don't care if a lot of people like it, it's not for me. Like, I think you really need to like reevaluate like your narrative, because Baldur's Gate 3 is not something that can compete with Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, hey, Harman, if you're on 4chan all day screaming at each other, calling each other incels, and that's the way you win your arguments by you, I kid you guys not, he has a video on his channel saying how to win arguments on the internet, and you don't invest time into the game that you're talking about because you say that you have a supercomputer and you can run all these games, no problem at all, but you just sit there probably on 4chan all day arguing with people over this dumbass shit. It's like you just sit here talking and talking, pretending that you know what you're talking about, but you really don't. And I'll bet you anything, most of your time is spent on 4chan arguing with people. I'll bet $50 fucking dollars. Because I'll reiterate this point, if you actually spent the money, bought the game, or invested some time into video, watch some walkthroughs, watch some Let's Plays, I'm pretty sure your mind would change on this, especially the mods that you could find on PC. This game would make it more fun for you.
I wouldn't even put it up against like a mid-range Nintendo property like Fire Emblem. Like, it is getting stomped into the dirt. It is going to be forgotten, and I think like when we see this game released on PS5, like we are going to see a lot more people become more openly critical of it and start addressing the problems more often, and like kind of just admitting to ourselves that the game is not as good as it's made out to be.
Oh, so instead of doing your own research and putting your time in like you're supposed to, like your own responsibility, like you actually like jumping on many other YouTubers, journalists, and Angry Joe, and many of the others, you like jumping on their asses. But when it's your turn to do research and actually do your due diligence, you're just like, I'm going to wait for the PlayStation fanboys to do it. And thankfully, that is the end of the video. I don't think I could stand another minute of this Mr. Know-It-All that I know everything about the video game industry, and I am the poobah of everything I know about the video game industry. I can't stand people like that. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to do all that sellout stuff. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later, fam.
You're like a baby, you're like a baby.